Hands up. Don't move. The command tore the Sunday quiet like canvas. A blue-green shimmer ran across Silver Birch Lake. My fishing line still dripped from one lazy cast. On the driveway, my daughter, Ava, barefoot, towel slouched at her hips, hair wet from the cove. 10 feet beyond her, Karen Whitfield, self-appointed president of Silver Birch Community Association, feet planted, arms locked, a black semi-auto pistol trembling at full extension. "You're trespassing on community property," she barked, mirrored shades flashing. "You refused our bylaws. You're under citizen's arrest." I heard my wife Nora gasp behind me. Somewhere by the dock, our grandkids stopped splashing. The world narrowed to the tiny black hole at the end of Karen's barrel. Ava didn't flinch. She raised her hands to shoulder height, palms open, voice flat steel. "Ma'am, weapon on the ground, now. My name is Ava Collins. I am the County Solicitor. You are committing aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and falsely asserting legal authority." Karen laughed, high, brittle. "You don't scare me." From the pines, faint sirens stitched the air, growing louder, and as the sound drew closer, a single thought knocked through my skull. This didn't begin today. It started 2 months ago, when a white golf cart with a plastic strobe rolled into our driveway like a toy police cruiser and tried to make our porch swing a crime. We didn't buy a cabin. We bought a porch and a dock, cedar steps that softened at dusk, and a view that made silence feel expensive. The county plat, 1979, showed our lot as a slim peninsula outside the Silver Birch development line. The deed carried the little drummer boy of phrases every engineer learns to love. Exempt from Silver Birch community covenants, platted prior to 1981. I made 3 copies. Old habit, day 1 smelled like wet rope and sun-warmed pine. I replaced the dock ladder. Nora hung wind chimes that sounded like ice in a glass. A heron walked the reed bed like a landlord on rounds. Day 13, a white golf cart wobbled up our gravel and parked at a diagonal like it was blocking a crime scene. Driver, late 50s, stocky, hair lacquered into a helmet bob, navy security vest, 2 sizes too tight. Clipboard welded to palm. "Welcome to Silver Birch Community Association," she announced. "Karen Whitfield, president. I supervise security and standards. Ethan and Nora Collins," I said. "New here." She shoved a 3-ring binder into my hands. "Dues, 720s, payable next month. Sign and return your membership agreement within 30 days. We meet first Tuesdays." Attendance strongly encouraged. I flipped to the back, signature line beneath bylaws written in 10-point concrete. "We're actually not in the association," I said, keeping my voice neighborly. Lot was platted before Silver Birch existed. "County records say we're exempt." Something sharp flashed behind her smile. "All shoreline properties are under our jurisdiction," she said. "Don't play games." That night I spread the packet on our table. Fines the president could levy unilaterally. Quiet hours enforced by patrol. Paint restricted to approved naturals. A claim of jurisdiction over all contiguous shoreline to protect common resources. Read, annex the lake by paragraph. Nora set down 2 mugs. "You're frowning," she said, "because Section 2B isn't law." "It's wish," I said. "And wishes don't bind deeds." I drafted a letter. Thanks for the welcome. "Our lot is outside the HOA boundary per county plat 11405, 1979. Deed exemption attached. We decline membership. Wishing Silver Birch a great season." I mailed it certified and slid the receipt into a fresh folder I labeled, with a Sharpie Whitfield. 2 days later, a crisp envelope flapped under our windshield wiper. First notice of violation, unapproved landscaping materials. The materials were a neat stack of cedar planks by my garage, cut for Nora's planter box. 50 doubling every 7 days. Handwritten, only friendly warning. K. Whitfield. I photographed it. Filed it. Second notice, improper waste receptacle display. Our county bin had sat at the road 12 hours before pickup, like the entire county. 50, I didn't argue. I documented. Then the golf cart began staking out our driveway, engine ticking, yellow strobe dead, mirrored shades pointed at our porch like a camera that blinked. Some afternoons, a hulking man with braided tattoos rode shotgun. "Security support," Karen said when Nora offered her iced tea. He never smiled. You're building a case, Nora teased as I slid date-stamped photos into the folder. I'm building a timeline, I said. Bullies gamble, you won't keep one? The first time Karen trespassed physically, she didn't wear sunglasses. She wore a costume. A white pickup with a magnetic county code compliance placard idled at the edge of our lawn. A man in a two-new high-vis vest hopped out with a clipboard, boots unlaced, beard line ruler sharp. Morning, he said, stepping off the gravel onto our grass. Inspection on your shoreline modifications. Which ones? I asked, staying between him and the dock. And what's your badge number? He blinked. Sir, I'm... Name, department, statute you're here under, I said, engineer calm. And please stay off my property until you produce identification. He shifted. I have authority. Before he could improvise, Nora stepped out filming on her phone. We're recording, she said. Please state your agency. He glanced up the road. Karen's golf cart sat there, light off, Karen pretending to scroll her phone. The inspector put a hand to his jaw like he'd forgotten something and mumbled, I'll be back, then climbed into the truck and rolled away, peeling the cheap magnet off the door as he turned the bend. I printed the photo and filed it under impersonation. Attempt 1. The next day, I mounted a 4K driveway camera with a timestamp overlay pointed at the road and our border stones. That weekend, Karen tried a tow. We came home from the hardware store to find a flatbed at the end of our drive, our canoe trailer already winched halfway up. Hey! I shouted, sprinting. That's mine. The driver, a wiry 20-something, pointed to Karen, who stood arms crossed, clipboard like a baton. She's the president, he said. Says you owe dues and fines. She signed an authorization. On a property outside her association, I said, shoving documents into his hands. Read the deed exemption. He looked between us, then at the trailer, then at the camera on our eave, its little red LED blinking like an eye. Ma'am, he told Karen gently, I can't touch this. It's not on your lot. He unhooked and left, apologizing to me twice. Karen stared at the camera lens like it had insulted her mother, then scribbled on her clipboard as if angry ink could rewrite plats. I thought that was the end of her escalation. I was wrong. It was the beginning of her theater year. The birthday ambush, my 60th, was a lake-light day. Paper lanterns, Motown, neighbors clinking plates. Kids invented a game called Heron Detective by the Reeds. For the first hour, life tasted like what we had saved for. Then the golf cart took the corner too fast, yellow strobe flashing. She slashed it diagonally across our driveway, blocking my friend Dave's sedan. Clipboard raised like a stop sign. Noise violation, unauthorized vehicles, and failure to notify, she announced to the crowd. I walked down the steps with my palms open. Karen, the road is county, I said. You are blocking access. Move your cart. This road is association maintained, she lied, and I am detaining these vehicles until compliance. The word detaining flicked a switch in me. Before I could overheat, Ava appeared at my elbow, off-duty in jeans, voice pleasant but shaped like a key. Which statute are we violating? She asked. Not bylaws, statute, Karen sneered. It's binding. For members, Ava said. We are not. Karen snapped a photo of Dave's plate and eased her cart just enough to let him squeeze past. She parked 2 doors down, idled, and watched the rest of us like a mall cop who'd lost her mall. The party never recovered. Laughter thinned. Music went low. People apologized for parking on my gravel like they'd trespassed in a museum. At dusk, Ava watched the cart lights fade and squeezed my hand. Dad, she said quietly, she's no longer quirky. She's harassing, obstructing, and impersonating authority. Keep collecting. If she crosses the next line, call it in. I'll keep it clean. The envelope wore a county seal and the heavy tone of bureaucracy. A complaint has been filed alleging you erected an unpermitted shoreline structure. Our dock, built when parachute pants were sincere. Official letters are gravity. They pull you whether you agree or not. 10 business days to respond. I pulled history out of boxes. 1977 contractor receipt for pile driving. A Polaroid of the original dock with a Chevy Nova in the background. The code section grandfathering structures prior to 1980. A note from the previous owner's son. Dad built this with Charlie Slater 77. Drafted a 10-page reply with figures, citations, and a pointed paragraph on malicious complaints targeting exempt lots. I mailed it certified. The county dismissed the complaint unfounded within the week. Relief floated. Anger anchored. Karen had learned to weaponize process. If the golf cart couldn't police us, the forms might. I called Ava. She listened, then said, 2 tracks. First, keep your camera rolling and your folder fat. Second, let me check the entity Karen claims to run. On Monday, her voice came through like a grin you could hear. Public records show Silver Birch Community Association allowed its non-profit status to lapse 18 months ago. No renewal, no annual filing, no legal personhood. I sat back so hard the chair squeaked. Then the dues collected under a defunct entity, she said. If she's handling money in a personal account, that's commingling or worse. You wanted a pry bar? Here it is. The letter that lit the fuse, I wrote a 3-page letter to every homeowner. Page 1, state record. Registration number, date of lapse. Page 2, legal effect. No enforcement powers. Fines, detentions, void. Page 3, the money question. 720 as 43 homes. $30K year to wear. Unrenewed snow removal. Unrepaired community dock, unanswered maintenance tickets tone, no insults. Only facts, citations, and a request. An open meeting to dissolve the zombie, reincorporate correctly, audit funds, and adopt a good neighbor clause. Conversation before citation. We mailed them certified on a Friday. Saturday, porches hummed. Neighbors clustered by the mailboxes like birds before rain. Sunday afternoon, the white golf cart ate our lawn. Karen cut the engine mid-lawn, spitting gravel into Nora's petunias. She stormed toward the steps, waving my letter, crumpled like a used napkin. Rage had pulled her neat bun apart. Wisps stuck to her cheeks. You! She hissed, jabbing her finger at me. How dare you slander me to my neighbors after everything I've done? You're trespassing, I said. Leave our property. This is my community, she snapped. I built it. I protect it. And you... Down by the dock, Ava handed a towel to our grandson Rowan, murmured something to Malik, and started up the slope. Sun dried a road of water down her shoulder. She looked like any daughter coming to ask what the fuss was about, until you saw her eyes, calm, assessing, counting exits without moving her head. Karen climbed the first porch step. You think you're clever, she said, shaking the letter. Turning people against order. You'll regret this. All I did was share records, I said. Something in records sheared the last bolt. She let out a sound between laugh and animal. Her right hand disappeared behind her vest. When it came back, it held a black pistol. Everything went thin. The lake hush cocooned. Even the wind held its tongue. Hands up, she shrieked, swinging the gun to Ava. You're trespassing on private community property. I'm making a citizen's arrest. Ava's body did a thing I've seen on courtroom steps when she's ambushed by a hostile mic. Chin straightening, shoulders settling. She raised her hands, palms open, and the air changed temperature. Ma'am, she said, voice now clipped and resonant. Weapon on the ground. My name is Ava Collins. I am the County Solicitor. You are committing aggravated assault and impersonating legal authority. This is your last warning. From deep in the pines, sirens bent the road toward us. Karen's eyes flicked to the sound, then back to the gun, then to Ava's face. Calm, inevitable. The muzzle quivered. The person inside the costume flickered. Rage, then recognition, then fear. I was just... She's trespassing, she stammered. Drop it, Ava said. The pistol hit the asphalt with a deep clatter. 2 cruisers slid into view, lights washing the porch posts red and blue. Doors opened. Solicitor Collins, you okay? Sergeant Romero called, one hand hovering near his holster. I'm fine, Ava said, never taking her eyes off Karen. Secure the weapon and take this individual into custody. The deputy kicked the gun away, bagged it. Romero read the rights while cuffing. Karen's face crumpled into a damp, stunned version of itself. Across the cove, neighbors had come to their porches, phones up, silence spreading like a sheet on a bed. The yellow strobe on the abandoned golf cart kept pulsing pointlessly into daylight. Inside the living room, Romero took our statements while the lake remade its surface outside. We scrolled through the driveway camera, Karen's cart raking our lawn, the draw, Ava's commands, the drop, cruisers rolling in, clean chain, no shadows for an excuse to hide in. Ava drove to the station that evening to file the report by the book. She didn't want so much as the appearance of special handling. Monday morning, charges posted. Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, impersonating a public servant, for the detention theater. The patrol, the strobe, harassment and stalking, the stakeouts, the notes, fraudulent solicitation, collecting dues under a lapsed entity. A judge signed a restraining order. Karen barred from our property, barred from firearms. For the first time in 2 months, the air above our porch felt like air. Coffee tasted like coffee. Wind chimes dreamed. But the letter we mailed Friday did its own work. The hall Tuesday evening, the community hall smelled like folding chairs and dust and nerves. People sat in tight clusters, mailbox friendships, cul-de-sac circuits. At the front, a slide, state entity search, Silver Birch Community Association, status lapsed. A lawyer in a gray suit walked them through the law. Hands went up, angry, embarrassed, relieved. Gerald, soft-spoken, had sat beside Karen at what she called board meetings, stood with a fistful of paper. She stopped holding votes, he said, voice shaking. Said quorum wasn't necessary in emergencies. We asked where the money was going. She said it was in process. We got no snowplow in February. We shoveled our own street. Tom Nguyen, the hardware store helper, raised his hand. Enough, he said. Motion to dissolve the defunct association, incorporate correctly with open books, and adopt a good neighbor policy. Conversation first, fines last, no unilateral penalties. And, he swallowed. Motion to send a written apology to the Collins family. Hands went up like wheat in wind. Unanimous. Tom turned to me afterward. Ethan, will you oversee the audit? Not treasurer, just be our brain on numbers. I'll consult, I said. I won't be the treasurer. Nora squeezed my arm. Thank you, she mouthed. Back home, the porch felt wider. The lake seemed to exhale. With footage, statements, entity records, and a paper trail braided into a rope, Karen accepted a plea. Felony menacing, fraudulent solicitation and harassment, misdemeanor. 5 years probation, 500 hours community service. A hefty fine and restitution to the new association, mandatory therapy, a permanent injunction barring her from any HOA board or fiduciary role in the state. She and her husband sold their place quietly, below asking. The young couple who bought it waved from the deck their first night, kids chasing each other in circles the way kids do when a house says yes. Silver Birch learned to be a place instead of a project. The golf cart strobe was removed and the cart sold. Proceeds bought docklights. The new board posted budgets and votes online. The good neighbor clause turned confrontations into conversations. Most violations melted after a 5-minute chat. Tom started meetings with one rule. If it isn't your fence, start with kindness. A local paper ran a small headline. Ava insisted on small. County Solicitor helps de-escalate HOA standoff at lake. She shrugged it off and came over for grilled corn, rolling her eyes when I tried to toast her with lemonade. The Whitfield folder lives in my bottom desk drawer, certified mail receipts, screenshot printouts, the silly fake code compliance magnet photo, bylaws with a coffee stain on Section 2B. It's not a trophy. It's a reminder peace is a discipline. You keep it by naming things, counting things, and standing where your deed says you may stand. At dusk, our porch is the color of warm toast. The chimes are lazy. The lake holds the sky for a few minutes before it lets it go. When the loon calls, Nora slips her hand into mine, and I think about the moment the pistol hit the asphalt and the sirens curved onto our road. How fast theater becomes evidence when a camera is rolling and the law says, Quietly, no, we didn't buy a cabin. We bought a porch and a dock and the right to drink our coffee on them without a plastic strobe telling us whose morning it is. And now, finally, that's what we have. If you've ever dealt with an HOA like this, you know peace isn't given. It's taken back, one rule at a time. Now it's your turn. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done if this was your home? And if you want more stories where justice wins, hit that like, smash subscribe, and turn on notifications, because on this channel, every Karen, every HOA board, and every neighborhood watch with a badge gets exactly what they deserve. This is Keys and Chaos, where the rules get rewritten, one story at a time.